Hallmark, a company most known for its greeting cards, home crafts, party tips, and feel-good Christmas movies. A family-friendly company for the white suburban mom inside of all of us. Now, you might be asking yourself why the hell I'm talking about this feel-good arts and crafts channel on a Frankenstein series. And, it's because they produced a Frankenstein miniseries that is the most faithful film adaptation to date. Hallmark. Welp. On October 5 and 6 in 2004, the Hallmark Channel premiered a 2-episode miniseries simply titled Frankenstein. It starred Luke Goss, Alec Newman, Nicole Lewis, Dan Stevens, and Donald Sutherland. From what I can find, it looks like they had a budget of about $45 million, and I'm pretty sure all of it was spent on Victor's laboratory. The series did decently well and was nominated for various awards, including its cinematography, casting, and it even won a Primetime Emmy for its makeup effects. Overall, it sits pretty decently across various reviews, holding a solid 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb, which sounds about right. Now, as I said, this is the most book-accurate adaptation we have received so far. There's changes here and there, because there always are in adaptations, but for the most part, it follows roughly the same narrative turns of the novel, which makes my job way easier. It's not hard to find the Frankenstein elements because they're all right there. But there's certain things with how they presented their story that are particularly interesting. We'll be following the 7 tenets that we established in the first episode, and then wrap up with a general discussion about the story overall. So, let's take a look. 1. Animation, reanimation. In the original novel, Victor's goal is just to create a new life through animation. But in most adaptations, the leap to playing God gets reframed as Victor wanting to prevent death through reanimation. He experiences a personal loss and decides he wants to keep people from dying. Usually that loss is the death of his mother, which happens at the beginning of the book. But in this series, the more emotional loss is Victor watching his dog die, which is like, it's a little funny to me, if I'm being honest. Like, it's not enough to have the grief of a parent dying. We have to watch 2 dogs get run over. Now, the problem with this reframing is that if you think about it for too long, you start to realize it doesn't make any sense. Like, if Victor is trying to bring people back from the dead, why is he making a body out of different corpses? He doesn't stitch together multiple dogs when he's experimenting, so why is he doing that here? It's never really explained, and the story moves on fast enough that we don't really think about it that much. Except for me. I think about it. I think about it too much. All this being said, I love the creature reveal in this one. The scene where he's in the bathtub and we just see Victor in distress from his frustration, and then the slightest breath and the movement of the gauze. I love it. The tension, the drama. It's so good. It's just good. Very good. 2. Isolation and suffering. This was done pretty well, but not in the way you'd think. Where the series does really well with isolation isn't the monster, but with Victor. We see a lot of Victor's self-imposed isolation, keeping himself locked away from the people who care about him because of his own arrogance and shame. He leaves when he doesn't have to. He's withdrawn when his family needs him near. This should pair pretty well with the creature's forced isolation. After all, we see him get chased and beaten and stuff. He's tormented and he's isolated and angry because of it. But like, this story needs to decide if this bitch is scary or not, because I cannot tell. The visual storytelling of the initial village scene is that this lady is mad at him for stealing her food. And like, yeah, if a guy came into my house and started eating my food, I would also be concerned. But she doesn't kick him out because she thinks he's a demon, and then all of a sudden the whole town is chasing him? It just looks absurd. Listen, I am in for a more book-accurate monster, but if you're gonna go for a book-accurate monster, you can't stop halfway. Like, right now, he just looks like a guy with a weird skin condition. Like, I just don't buy that people hate him on sight. The peasants kicking him out and chasing him away feels contrived and over-exaggerated at best. The reasons I sometimes believed the guy was isolated and suffering was because of the actor's performance. Luke Goss has some really strong moments in this series. Seriously, props to him. The part where he talks to the woman creature's lifeless body about all the plans he has for the two of them.
There's so much I want to tell you, share with you, teach you about life, love. I've made us a home, our own secret place where we can live without fear. With our children, together.
It just gets me every time. I just want good things for Adam. Is that so wrong? 3. The family element. This series does really well with the family element. We see the monster learning about families and wanting to be a part of one, and failing time and time again. He calls Victor his father, and Victor does too after rejecting the title at first. We even get this solid moment between Walton and the monster, where Walton says,
Christ did not resort to vengeance when mankind sinned against him.
His father loved him, sir.
It's very, very good, and only made better because we get this all alongside Victor's life and family. We see him growing up, interacting with his friends and family. Still no Ernest, rest in peace, and generally having a good life. We see Alphonse being a good dorky dad trying to engage with his son, and in return, we see Victor reject him and his family repeatedly to his own detriment. Like, this series does such a good job showing Victor's selfishness. He is sympathetic and you do feel for him, but you also see how his problems are his own fault. His family is right there for him and he's constantly pushing them away, to the point where we get this beautiful, brutal scene towards the end after everyone has died.
Death pursues you like the devil. Ever since you were a child, you were drawn to it in a way that was unnatural.
Father, please, let us not quarrel. We only have each other.
Whose fault is that, sir? No need for you here anymore, Victor. Listen. There's no one left to die. Oh, I love you. But I don't know who you are.
I could write a damn thesis on how important Victor's relationship is with his father, and this series does it. So, well done. Gold star. 4. Major moral questions. This film really harps on the no man would dare to act as God theme. Repeatedly. We get a lot of people telling Victor that he's not God.
Are there no limits to your imagination?
Only those imposed by God.
Does one need proof to know that oxygen exists? Or God?
Faith is a different matter entirely.
Victor, only God can make life.
If an artist can create beauty with paint and brushes, then why cannot a scientist create life with flesh and bone?
You are talking sacrilege, contrary to the laws of nature.
Am I? Is it against those laws to inoculate mankind against smallpox? Or to use bifocals to help one to read? Or to set a bone that is broken?
That is entirely different.
Why? Should we allow people to die when science and medicine can save them? The progress of science demands experimentation.
He's not really trying to defy God. Mostly you get the vibe that he's frustrated. People keep dismissing him and shutting him down with their religious fears. So he doubles down on his work to prove them all wrong, damn the consequences, which leads to his inevitable downfall. It's well done, if sometimes heavy-handed. Overall, no complaints. However, I do have a complaint when it comes to the second figure of this particular theme. Captain Walton. Captain Walton functions as the frame narrative of the story, as well as a foil to Victor. The whole reason Victor tells his life story is because he recognizes that Walton is on the same path that he was. Walton's here in the tundra because he wants to discover the undiscovered and is willing to sacrifice everything for it, risking the life of his crew to pursue his dreams.
Tell me, Captain, have you ever craved knowledge so desperately? Strove to unravel a secret so dark that you were willing to sacrifice everything, even your soul?
You should ask my wretched crew. Man's pursuit of knowledge is at the heart of his greatest achievements.
And evils.
Victor tells him his life story as a warning to the man, basically telling him to get out while he still can, which eventually Walton does after Victor's death. The series does do this, but it doesn't quite follow as much because Walton is played by an old man. Like, Donald Sutherland is a great actor, but it makes for a visually awkward narrative. Walton looks like an idiot who doesn't know how to do his job despite presumably having been an explorer and sailing his whole life. Meanwhile, Victor's a 20-something that gets fished out of the water being like, "Ah yes, this man, many years my senior, let me offer you my aged wisdom."
I see something dangerous in your eyes.
In my eyes?
Yes. That same ambition that set me on my tragic course.
It's like when your younger cousin tries to give you life advice. Like, it just doesn't work well. 5. Questioning the nature of humanity. This one's not terribly intricate. It's done through the monster, though mostly off screen. We get a couple moments of him reading Paradise Lost or Victor's journal, wondering about who he is and what his place is in the world. They're very beautiful and touching moments. But everyone else around him has pretty much decided he's not a human and should die. Surprisingly, Henry is one of the most avid parties. Victor's like, "Oh, maybe he deserves love and affection." And Henry's like, "Don't be fooled, Victor, he's not a human."
All he wants is to love. And be loved, like any human.
But he is not human. And you are not God, Victor.
I know what you're gonna say. She's my sister and I should be trying to get along with her.
No, she's crazy and she needs to go down.
An unfortunate thing to bring up under this tenet is that this film really wants you to believe that sex is an inherent part of humanity, and it's just really obnoxious. Like, we get these two awkward sex scenes juxtaposed with each other. One is of Victor and Elizabeth, and the other is the monster watching Felix and Agatha. This did not need to be here. And in fact, I think the movie would have done a lot better with it not being here. Please stop trying to make Frankenstein horny. Please. Please. 6 and 7 are pretty easy. It is a period piece set in the late 1700s. I couldn't tell you much about the accuracy of the costumes or anything, but I found Victor's little hat very fun. And there are, in fact, numerous Frankensteins all over the dang place, doing cool stuff and being cool people. Easy win. Go team. So, there's all our tenets done. General review, I think this series could have done with some editing, clean up some sequences that drag, some rewrites here and there, but as a whole, it's pretty good. Like, it's not the greatest thing I've ever seen, but neither is it the worst. It is a solidly decent movie. I think it paid off all of the threads that it set up, the acting's pretty solid, and the designs are lovely. It's an enjoyable watch. One of my favorite reviews that I found was written by Guy Adams in an edition of the British Fantasy Society. He said, "It's definitely a TV version, though thankfully light on the usual Hallmark Channel Vaseline and whimsy. It's a little flat in places, but it is an honorable and enjoyable attempt at providing a definitive version of Shelley's book." I think that sums it up pretty nice. And as far as the Frankenstein elements are concerned, I think this movie does really well. It does a great job of carrying the heart of what's so good and cathartic about Frankenstein. It is, at its core, a tragedy about people trying their best and making the wrong choices. This series really captures that. My favorite thing is super silly, but I'm so delighted that they included my favorite stupid thing from the book, which is Victor falling asleep in boats. It's a dumb thing that happens multiple times in the novel. It makes sense that it would get cut, and maybe it should have, but the fact that it wasn't just makes my heart happy. So, yeah, the Hallmark Channel's Frankenstein miniseries. Strangely fantastic. Hard recommend. Let me know what you think. I know this is the most popular adaptation to book-loving folks, so I'm sure you guys have opinions. Thank you for watching, and remember, when things are falling apart, you can always stitch them back together. Till next time.